I'm Amy.
And I'm Ian.
And we met on Christian Connection. I had just come out of a long-term marriage and I was looking for, I guess, a safe place to meet people. A friend recommended Christian Connection. I then proceeded to download all the other apps as well, just in case, as a backup. But Ian and I met quite quickly after I downloaded it, so didn't have to stay on for very long.
I also was recommended by a friend, and I did a very similar thing. I downloaded everything. I had also just come out of a long-term marriage, and I was looking for a Christian connection. It was the niche that it was Christian Connection. I did want somebody that related to me on that level, that related to something that was fundamental to me, that was a core of who I am and what I believed and where I wanted to be. I decided to overemphasize absolutely everything. Mine was a biography of my life. I thought oversharing was the key, so I went for as many posy, cheesy pictures as I could, thinking they were the best ones, and in the end it turned out they were. So.
Wow. I'm not sure all of the photos were great, but anyway. Whereas I was the complete opposite. I put maybe like 2 photos on, and even those I think were with other people, and then like maybe a few word answers, and that was it.
That Amy was from Hull.
Yeah.
I lived in Dublin at the time, and I opened my search as wide as possible. I found that Amy was from Hull, and I'm from Hull originally. But secondly, that Amy was a bombshell. Like, she's absolutely beautiful.
My honest answer is I swiped past Ian. I was like, no thanks. That was just because a couple of the first like pictures. Photos, yeah, were just a little bit too posy for me. What drew me back, the stuff that he'd written about his faith, that definitely rang true for me. I really loved that reading through his answers, it felt like what I would say as well.
Well, it was actually Amy. It was actually Amy who sent the wave in the first place.
And then I think Ian said, hang on a minute, are you from Hull? And then we had a really lovely conversation through the app.
We chatted for ages.
Ian was living in Dublin at the time, and I was in Hull. He said, I'm going to be over in England at the end of November, visiting my parents who live just down the road from you. Would you like to go out? And it was going to be his birthday this weekend, and so we made plans to meet up on his birthday and go on a first date.
To Hull City.
To Hull City. Mm-hmm. So our local football team, we did what my dad likes to call side-by-side bonding. You know, where you don't have to have that intensity of sitting across from each other and kind of making lots of conversation, but just we went and did something together, and that was really lovely, and it was exactly, I think, what we both needed.
It was such a good first day as well.
That came after weeks of talking all day, every day, online. Yeah, there were some days I went to work the next day after having chatted to Ian till like 1-2 in the morning. Every time we talked, I just felt so peaceful and so joyful, and it just felt so right.
I think it's also confession time in that I said to Amy I was coming to meet my mum and dad. I did tell a little white lie. I wasn't coming to meet my mum and dad.
No. So he just flew over from Dublin just to come meet me, which was lovely. Like, when you told me that, I don't think you confessed that until maybe a year into our relationship. So I was like, what? Okay, great. Well, that's nice. It's nice to be wanted like that now.
I did see my mum and dad at the time. I mean, I did go and stay with my mum and dad, but I did use that as an excuse to come home.
I think they found out when Ian turned up on the doorstep.
Sorry, mum and dad, if you're watching this right now. I think I knew probably from some of those very early conversations. I think it's very cliche to say I knew from the moment I first set eyes on you, but I think it was the first couple of conversations. Once we started delving into each other's hearts, I think that was when I really knew this is the missing piece of the jigsaw that I've been looking for.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever having the thought, when will I know if Ian's right or not? I don't remember having a time where I felt like I just didn't know him and choose him. And that sounds bizarre because obviously there was a beginning. But like very early on, I just remember texting a couple of my really good friends and saying, this is my person. I feel like I've known him forever.
Peace is a very important thing for me. It's the Bible verse I always go back to is peace I give to you. So that is very important in terms of me knowing when I was ready. And so it came to the time I asked a friend to chauffeur Amy to the church that we started attending. It's a big, beautiful minster in the town of Beverley. I contacted one of my friends in there and said, can you open it up on a Friday night when it's closed? So I went in there hours before I was due to meet Amy, and I lined the minster with candles from the back to the front. I lined them both sides, and then I sprinkled rose petals. And then we had a song that we'd had very early on, I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. So I had that ready lined up. I was at the top of the aisle in the minster, and the song was playing.
Yeah, it kind of ruined all of our friends' future engagements for sure. Both of us have been married before. For a long time, I wasn't sure whether I would want to get married in a church again. But actually, having kind of attended that church for a long time and felt really welcome there and felt really at home there, it became a place that just naturally was a good fit. So our wedding was in Beverley Minster, the most gorgeous kind of cathedral-looking minster. If you filled the place, you would need thousands of people. So we had just our closest friends and family, which was still a pretty decent number. It was a very rainy day. But yeah, it was just really special and very us, very kind of, I was going to say understated. We got like an ice cream van and caterers in. The main thing was that it was just really fun. So as much as possible, we played silly games. We had quizzes. So after the service, like my favourite food is croissant. So we just went out and bought the local bakeries croissants and served pastries and donuts and Pims after the service. Had an ice cream van for the pudding. Yeah, it was really good.
And we also shut the minster down on the first day of summer to have the reception in Beverley Minster as well. So we had all of our tables, we had all of our food right down the middle of the minster.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The year after the wedding has been quite eventful.
Yeah, really eventful.
Yeah, we've tried to tick all of life's events off immediately. We have had a baby. His name is Joel. He's a gorgeous little boy. He's now 15 weeks old.
15 weeks. Yeah, so just learning to make sounds and roll over and interact a little bit more. He's just the most smiley little boy ever. He's so cute. And like neither of us thought we would have children. That wasn't an option in our previous marriages. So it was just a real joy to kind of be on the same page as each other from the beginning, really. He was always meant to be, and we planned for him forever. So it's been wonderful.
I was living in Ireland at the time. Amy came across to Ireland to come visit me. I had bought a scooter to commute to and from work. On my first day, I set off and my handlebars came off. I went over the top of my scooter and the scooter went over my leg.
It was a fairly catastrophic accident, obviously, and without going into the detail, just a life-changing kind of accident as well. So we're told kind of it might be touch and go whether he could walk again. So obviously a very traumatic thing to go through. But we just really felt like the peace of God from the very beginning of that experience. So I made the decision from that day really to stay, and I stayed for 9 months while Ian had his leg worked on.
So for 9 months, Amy cared for me, like personal care. She looked after me from the morning right through to the night.
It was a terrible thing. Yeah, and it was a terrible thing to go through. I think I can say for both of us that we don't look back on it as a terrible thing. He was able to walk again and run again and do all of these things that actually they probably had predicted he wouldn't be able to do. So actually it became a real story for us of God's power and healing and his ability to intervene in a situation where a miracle was needed.
We laugh a lot together. I think that's one of the best things about life. We laugh a lot. Joel laughs a lot. One of the best things is that this always feels like it's meant to have been. This always feels like we have known each other. It always feels like this is where we were destined to be, and it feels like I've met somebody I've always known. It feels like I've met my best friend. It feels like I just love spending every day with Amy, and I don't get bored of Amy. It's just a lot of fun to be with.
Yeah, I always kind of go back to this Bible verse where it says that God gives you silver instead of bronze and gold instead of silver. And since meeting Ian, it is fun, but it's the kind of fun that really comes that you feel really at the core of yourself, where you're being fully yourself at last. And you're free to do that, and you're encouraged to do that, and then you have a little boy who is like that too. And so that's a real gift. New house. Joel, just continuing to love on Joel and be loved by Joel. He gives a lot back.
One of our shared visions is setting up a retreat centre.
Yeah, we just we both had actually written it down, had it down for years before we met each other, that we needed to have a space where people can come and rest and be fully themselves, and do whatever they need to do, whatever business they need to do with God. But that we would just provide a really peaceful, beautiful space for that to happen in.
Do your very best to be your authentic self. You want to spend your life being with somebody that you are meant to be with. Somebody that knows you for you, somebody that accepts you for you, somebody that loves you for everything that you are. You don't have to settle. God knows who that person is. God is in your past, God is in your present, and God goes before you, and you can trust in that.
Be willing to take some risks, because I played it really safe in the early days, and I set my kind of location distance really, really tight to home. And I would never have met Ian if I'd have kept it like that. And it was a friend who said to me, just sack off the list, sack off the everything, and just see who comes up. And I just happened to meet a very local lad who happened to live in Dublin, and that would never have happened if I'd have not taken that risk. And I think our relationship has been like that too, has been encouraging each other at different times to be willing to step out into some difficult spaces that haven't felt always super comfortable, but have been right. I love that quote from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, where they're talking about Aslan as God and the lion, and they say he's not tame, but he is good. I just always think about that, even with something like dating, that just because it feels scary doesn't mean it's not right. So yeah, I would say take the risk.